I said, we have a niche. So the good thing about our website is that it's almost 99% only focused on graduate programs. So all the jobs you find, it's a graduate program. It's not like an entry-level position or an internship. It's just graduate programs.
Okay.
So it's kind of a very focused niche. And then, as I said, besides just the graduate programs, we also have the guide. We have career content. You can read the blog and get inspired. We also have templates for cover letters and resumes, and these kind of things that can help students.
Okay, Palle, welcome to True Millennials and Daily Internship communities, and it's a pleasure to have you. Today we're going to talk about your experience, like your work experience, but also about your project, Graduateships, which is basically Denmark's largest career universe for graduate programs and entry-level positions. So welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this.
So I would start like asking you a bit about your academic background. So what did you study, and then how did you like start your career? Because I know you did a lot of experience, like different experiences. Like you worked for Uber 5 years, but then you also worked in the venture capital, also pharma sector.
So I started studying economics in Copenhagen Business School. So in Copenhagen, I'm from Copenhagen as well. And it's kind of a natural step for me. I always like math and kind of analytical courses. So did that for 3 years and then went on exchange to Singapore Management University. So I did an exchange down there. I really liked Asia, and I'll get back to that in a bit. But I went back there again afterwards to work down there. And got back from Singapore and then took my master's in international business, also at Copenhagen Business School. I think what I was really looking for there, just a bit of context, was like, I guess my bachelor was sometimes not that concrete in terms of the actual tools that I learned. So I wanted to have kind of a master's that was going to provide me some of those very tangible tools, like using Excel, all these kind of things. So I took the master there. And I did an internship as well in my master's. So I went down to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia to work for a company called Nova Founders. So founded by 2 Danish entrepreneurs that came from Rocket Internet. So they were kind of doing similar things down in Southeast Asia, trying to build internet companies. So usually they would try and copy other business models that work maybe, let's say, in the UK or the US, and then try and implement them in Asia. So I learned a lot down there in Asia, kind of working with entrepreneurs, trying to build new businesses. And that was when I worked kind of in venture capital and looking at how you build businesses from scratch.
Awesome. And what about your experience at Uber? Because you spent 5 years, or like almost 5 years, or something like this. And what were you doing? I saw you had a focus on operations, but just explain me like the different roles you covered and how in general the experience was.
Yeah, for sure. So actually going back to the Asia experience, when I was working down there, there was the first time I personally was exposed to entrepreneurs and kind of working in, I guess, tech and startup. So for me, I think that was an eye opener, and I kind of knew that I wanted to work within startup or entrepreneurship or the tech industry coming out of university. So I applied for a lot of different companies. I managed to land a role at Uber in the UK. So I went straight to London after having graduated. I think that was back in early 2015. So went to London to kind of help launch the business over there. I mean, Uber was founded a lot earlier, but in the UK and Europe, it was still fairly new. So it was kind of a little bit like launching a startup business on its own. So I guess the way I always look at Uber is that I did 3 different things. The first thing was that I was kind of launching Uber. So I was sent up to the north of England, Sheffield, and some of those cities up there to actually launch the product. So it was very much about like getting the first few drivers on board, making sure the documents were in order, and kind of just launching from city to city, something that we did extremely well at Uber. And then after that, after probably a year and a half or so, I kind of went back to London and got a central role. So I was working in the central operations team in London. I had different roles, but some of them was around managing the marketplace. So balancing demand and supply, demand being like the passengers, and then supply being all the drivers. So I was doing a lot of analytics around that. And then finally, probably around 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to go to San Francisco in the US, where the headquarters is. So I took up a role in the incubation team, which is focused on finding new business models to incubate at Uber. So we were looking at, we have ride sharing, we have delivery, but what are the other businesses that we think can become multi-billion-dollar businesses for Uber? So I was working on a product for kids. I don't have any kids myself, but working on trying to launch Uber for kids, basically allowing kids to ride on Ubers on their own. So those are the 3 different roles I've had at Uber, and obviously it has been an amazing experience.
And when it comes to the most valuable advice you could give to like a young student to choose his path and to choose his future, since you have a lot of experience, what would this advice be?
Let me think. I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche, but I've always, for example, at Uber, there was a lot of internal mobility. And one thing that I've always done is that I've always just taken roles that I would like to work in. So I didn't think much about, promotions, or didn't think a lot about salaries and these things. I really focused on things that I wanted to work within and that I thought would be interesting and where I could learn something. So I think, a lot of young people might be very, I guess, motivated and attracted by money and prestige and these kind of things. But I've always really kind of just followed what I wanted to do, passionate about, and I think, a lot of great things are going to come along the way. At least that's what I've seen at Uber. The people that got the best careers was the ones that just truly enjoyed what they did.
So I guess we can switch to Graduateships, which is also like the project that you created and that you are trying to grow. And it's like I gave my definition before, so I guess it's like the career universe for graduate programs and entry level positions. But just give me your definition and just explain me a bit the key elements of this project.
Yeah, for sure. So I started Graduateships together with a few other students back in 2015. So that's just about the time I graduated myself. As you know, graduate programs or graduate jobs is something you would normally look for in your last year of your master's, at least in Denmark. So we were also looking for potential graduate roles that we could apply for. But what we found was that there's no overview of these graduate programs. So there are job platforms that's going to post the jobs once they're there, but there's no like overview showing, these are all the companies that's going to offer a graduate program this year. So what we did was that we actually created an Excel sheet just with all the companies in Denmark. And then we started reaching out to them and asking, hey, do you have a graduate program? Just to kind of collect the basic information. So we did that for all the big programs. And then we had this Excel sheet, with hundreds of companies, and some of them had a graduate program, some of them didn't. And what we found it super useful because we would know when we had to apply for different roles. But also all of our kind of other students, they actually thought it was super interesting. So we started sharing this sheet, and it became, very popular. So it was that's the way the whole idea started, that it was just for my own and my 2 other students kind of use. But we kind of saw there was an issue there. So we thought, okay, let's make something actual out of this. And that's when we created Graduateships.
Okay, so like the mission of Graduateships, if you had to summarize it, which is?
So I think it's all about transparency. So I mean, ultimately, we want to try and help students and graduates, right? That's our core goal, is helping this user group. And I think the way we're doing that is by creating transparency. So we do that with graduate programs. We have an annual guide that I'll talk about in a bit, but basically each year we publish a guide that contains all the graduate programs in Denmark and information about them. So besides creating the overview, we also want to create, insights. So it's kind of sometimes can be difficult to actually understand, what is it actually like to work for this company? Because, sometimes it might be a little bit of corporate kind of bullshit, right? So you have the companies writing what they think about themselves. And we think it's better that we have students and we kind of try and investigate companies for them. So we're all about transparency. And we also do this with consulting companies, which is, another industry that's usually very, I guess, secretive, and you don't get a lot of information about the interviews, about the culture, or about, salary, these kind of things. So that's what we're trying to do. And I guess the second part, just to finish it off, is that we also try and create career content. So kind of a little bit similar to what you guys are doing, which I think is awesome, we try and speak with successful Danish entrepreneurs, or just in general, successful Danish people. And then they can kind of provide career advice to students and graduates.
That's awesome. And right now, like the focus still is on Denmark's graduate programs and positions, right?
Yeah, we have kind of, we wanted to solve, the companies that at least have a role in Denmark. But I do think there is, I see a lot of graduate programs in other, in other countries in Europe. So I think there is definitely the potential to expand it to Europe.
Okay, nice. So, like just to summarize it, if a student goes to your website, what can the student do, and in general, what can you find on the website right now?
Yeah, so if a graduate would go right now, I guess it would look a little bit like a normal job site, right? So basically, the user will be able to go in and have a look at all the graduate programs that are hiring right now. And they'll be able to read the job description and actually go and apply for the program. So they can look at graduate programs. As I said, we have a niche. And so the good thing about our website is that it's almost 99% only focused on graduate programs. So all the jobs you find, it's a graduate program. It's not like an entry-level position or an internship. It's just graduate programs.
Okay.
So it's kind of a very focused niche. And then, as I said, besides just the graduate programs, we also have the guide. We have career content. You can read the blog and get inspired. And we also have templates for cover letters and resumes, and these kind of things that can help students.
What about the guide? Is it like accessible for everybody? Can I download it from the website, for instance?
Yeah, that's totally free. So you can find that on our website. We ask for like some basic details, just like contact details, so we can kind of make sure we can let you know once there are some graduate programs that we think are relevant for you. But it's free, and it's always going to be free, right? We want this to be free for the students forever. So just go ahead.
Yeah. I guess it's very useful to have like contents that create like a general overview about something. And can you explain me a bit like what is a graduate program exactly, and why in the Nordics is it so like common to start with a graduate program? Like when compared to, for example, Italy, it's not that common that you start with a graduate program. So can you give me a bit of like details about this?
And now it's something that's being used widely, kind of to attract the best talents in Denmark. So it's kind of a way to attract talents. And the way it's structured and what a graduate program is, that I guess the way it's defined is that it's a program that's only meant for graduates. So you cannot have a lot of experience. You need to be almost fresh out of university. And then it's a graduate program usually takes a few years. So varying from like 12 months to 36 months. You're kind of going to go through like, I guess it's a little bit like an education while working, right? So you get introduction to different parts of the company. And then after 2 years or 3 years, you would then kind of graduate out of the graduate program. And then you would normally continue in a normal position in the company. So it's some kind of structured job that these talents can get to kick off their careers.
Which are the best graduate programs that like right now you can find on Graduateships?
Yeah, I'm always, because I think we actually try and do this a lot, where we try and make it easy for students and users of our website to understand which ones are good and which ones are bad. So we try and create like pros and cons. I think it's difficult to say which one is the best, but I would say some of the ones that I know are very popular would be some of the ones that have run it for a while. So companies like Novo Nordisk, that's a large Danish pharmaceutical company. I think they're probably kind of considered the front runner. They invest a lot of money in their programs, and it's a very, very global program. So that's definitely up there. Other companies like Palle, and maybe you know that it's a dairy manufacturer, producer in Denmark, and that's also international. So they produce like milk and butter and all these things. They also have a really, really good program. Then a company like Ørsted. So that's Ørsted is it's a company with a lot of hype right now in Denmark. So they are producing sustainable energy, wind energy, and wind farms in Denmark. So they're doing really well right now, and that's a company that a lot of young people want to work for due to the mission. And then also, I'm sure you know Carlsberg, the beer. They always have a very popular program. Obviously, a lot of people like to work for Carlsberg and kind of see themselves associated with that. So okay. That's another cool one. And then, as I said, Danfoss has a really strong program. They've been around for a long time. And also Novozymes, which is producing enzymes, it has a really, really cool finance program.
Okay. And then like approaching the conclusion of our content, what's in the future of Graduateships?
Yeah, as I said, I think initially we want to kind of solve for Denmark. So we want to make sure that we provide this full overview. And I think we're doing a great job right now with the guide, but I still think we can go a lot deeper and provide a lot more insights. So I mean, that's definitely something that we're kind of looking at, continue developing our Danish market. But then besides that, our ultimate vision is really just around transparency across a lot of different parameters. So I think right now we're providing a really good overview, but we also would like to be able to provide, salary, be much more specific around the interview process and how to prepare for that. What are the actual questions you can get, how to prepare for it. So we just want to go a lot deeper on the insights as well. So that's Denmark. And I think in Europe, even though a lot of the companies in Denmark, I think actually 36 of the companies are offering international positions. So, basically, if you're sitting in Italy, Germany, France, Spain, you can apply for these programs as well, as you can obviously work in everywhere in the EU. And so a lot of them are already kind of, I guess, international. But we are looking at also expanding the guide to look at companies that are based outside of Denmark. So we see a lot of the big European and American companies are actually doing these programs. The way it usually works is that most of the companies start to post their roles in December, and then they have an application deadline in March or so. So right now is kind of peak time to actually consider a graduate program. And as I said, there is at least 36 companies that we know of in Denmark that are looking for international graduates. International students. So there is a lot of kind of options, even if if the company might not be from the country that you're from. So I would definitely consider having a look at graduateships.com, and then make sure to stay tuned when the different companies are posting their roles.
Yeah, definitely go to graduateships.com. Okay, awesome. Palle, thanks for sharing your story. Thank you, and good luck for your future and for your future career.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time. And as I said, I really like your initiative as well. I think it's a super important one to try and bring back knowledge to students. So yeah, thanks for what you're doing.